feel like we may have got a lot of new subscribers, and maybe people don't like to go back on old videos. So I'm going to give you guys one summary video, go over a couple of tweets, and then everyone's just got to make their own decision. But Monday is the day, and it's probably going to open up pretty heavy, and you're probably going to wait to try to buy a dip, and you're probably going to miss the squeeze because there ain't no more dips. So what do we got going on with MULN? Well, on Sunday, during the day, they will be having the August Texas Roadshow. And people will be driving in the MULN 5RS. People will be driving in the Dragonfly. People will be driving in the MULN 5. And there's like 7 different things you can choose from, including commercial vehicles. And I suspect we're going to get a lot of videos and a lot of influencers that are like trying to help out on Twitter, posting stuff all Sunday night. And I suspect that all your questions that you've ever had about MULN are going to be answered just with the videos. Just seeing the cars. Just seeing how great they really are. And I also suspect we'll get some potentially real ideas of what those cars are capable of as far as batteries and like distance, and because I feel like the number that they got on the website are underestimated. I do believe that okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll talk about the math. So I've been trying, the math that I've explained to you before, if you understand it, is basically they have diluted, or they have issued 5 billion shares. If you count in order and then apply the reverse splits properly, it's clear that they have issued 5 billion shares. I didn't think they could issue more than 5 billion, but it feels like we're a little bit past 5 billion right now. And so somebody came out with some DD on Twitter about math, and it actually had a really good point. And it said that those 100 million warrants were traded for 2.3 billion shares. And so if they did have 2.3 billion shares, then it's not about the 5 billion number. Like it potentially allows them to go over the 5 billion number. And so, but only by the amount of the 2.3 billion. And when you do the math with the latest SEC filing that says 184 million shares, but we know on June 30th they filed that we had 78 million shares. So we know 780 million shares. And so we know that if we times the 184 by 9, we get like 1.5 billion shares, 1.6 billion shares. If we subtract the 780 million that we had, then we get something like 800 million shares. And ultimately, the idea is that the 800 million shares that... Hold on. I just lost my train of thought. Okay, so we had 3.7 billion. When the math shows out, it's like 5.1, 5.2 billion. And I thought the max that they could have was 5 billion. So I thought like maybe like they can go up to 184 million shorts right now. So I thought maybe they were just controlling it the last couple days with shorts. But using that logic, it doesn't account for the 2.3 billion shares. And so when you account for the 2.3 billion shares, ultimately it suggests that they have 700 million left. And when they have 700 million left, 800 million, we'll call it, no, let's just call it 900 million for easy math. If they have 900 million left, then you divide that by the 9 and you get 100 million shares. So that means they would have 100 million shares left to dilute since the reverse split. Now, we don't know exactly how much retail is buying, but what we do know is that David Mitchery has put in $3 million 2 days ago for a buyback, and put in $7 million yesterday for a buyback, and has $15 million more dollars to go in. And we assume it went in today, but we don't have anything for sure, but we assume that news comes out on Monday. And we're assuming a giant squeeze on Monday, and we're praying for a MOASS. Now, I'm going to explain this part real quick. which is when AMC was ready to squeeze in May 2021, it was at $12 and the market cap was over $5 billion. So what that means is if it goes up 100% and everyone sells, it would take $5 billion of more retail buying at that 100% higher price and it would actually take $10 billion because they doubled their money. So it would take $10 billion to keep that price going up. Well, guess what? When AMC squoze, it went from, in 5 days or 4 days, it went from $12 to $34. Now that's pretty impressive. You can make some decent money, especially if you already have some capital to work with. And everyone knew it was coming. 7 million people got paid. If you know options, then you make a little more. But the proof that that was not enough to pay retail was that the next day it dropped to 28 and the next day it was at 62. Think about that. So we ran from $12 to $34 and it wasn't enough, and they had to give us 100% day to finally convince people to start selling so that they could play their games. Well, MULN is 184 million outstanding share company. Okay? And if they have another 100 million that could be diluted in, then it'll be a $280 million company, which is probably what it is right now, but we don't get the data on time. So if it's $280 million market cap, when it goes from, well, since the price has dropped 40%, it's starting at 120 million. So when it goes from 120 million to 240 million and we're back at $1, guess what? Like, I don't know if that's right when it comes in, but when AMC squoze, they had to dilute $1.5 billion to stop it from keep squeezing. So if you take the logic of, if $1.5 billion comes into MULN as FOMO, and let's say it's at $5, that's where we would be at literally $5 billion. So if we run right now from 60 cents to $5, that's 800% increase. MULN ran from $12 to $60, which is that 400% increase, and they had to dilute $1.5 billion. And if that $1.5 billion comes in after MULN's 800% increase, then every one of us sold and they all bought, they would get the squeeze and we would be the losers. Because they FOMO'd, they would be the winners. And they would have enough capital to do it after 800% growth all by themselves. The FOMO is squeeze chasers. These aren't people looking for 100%. These are people looking for 100,000%. Oh, I promise. All right. So we're going to have a little fun now. And if you don't know about my Twitter, you should come check it out. So basically what I want to happen, my pinned tweet is, if you haven't heard the song Dispatch, or The General by Dispatch, you should. It's a great one. But basically, I just want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be wealthy, and I want you guys to be conservative for at least a little bit until we figure out how things shake out. And hold on to your money, and let's just see what happens. But if you guys give me the power, the platform, to speak on behalf of all retail investors, whether it's to the government, Joe Biden, freaking the church, I don't care who is in charge, let me at them. Like, make it public forum where everyone gets to watch. And there's just no person you can put in a room with me that I won't destroy if they're lying. And so, one of the tweets I wanted to go, this stuff's funny. Like, this does not make me angry at all. Like, I support this kind of stuff. Let's make this as crazy as it can be. That way it's much more entertaining when the FOMOers come in looking to see what started the squeeze. And let's see here. There's just so much going on. The fires in Canada, crazy. Like, somehow it's spreading to the United States. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the Twitter thing, but there's a NASA, the NASA fire satellite picture just shows the whole western coast of all North America is just in flames. That is total nonsense. We could put out any fire we wanted to as quick as we wanted to. We just don't try. Alright, so here's one of them. Use your brains, people. I've screamed in a convincing manner the squeeze was almost certainly days away, like 10 times in the last 2 months. And this is the first. Bears are going the extra mile to find me. I meant to say find me and convince you that there's a 0% chance of squeeze on Monday. They know enough volume equals. And yeah, I like using GIFs. Or GIFs, whichever you prefer. I don't hate or discriminate. Unless you're evil and you worship Satan. Remember, people often misdefine diamond hands. Many people think because they own MOASS and haven't sold they are diamond handers. Diamond handing refers to the peeps who hold during the squeeze to the highest numbers. Whoever gets the best return was the diamond-handed motherfucker. And then pray until your soul resonates and you truly are ready for Monday and beyond. And show me what you guys have learned over the last 3 years of blatant and obvious market abuse from dozens of companies. Diamond hand like a man for me one time if the squeeze starts on Monday. So what I'm suggesting is that all the math is finally 100% perfect. We have this major event happening Sunday and Monday. We got the buyback happening and the announcement of the buyback being completed, 99% chance on Monday. And that means, let's get back to that math. So not only do they only have 100 million shares left, which is nothing, because AMC in 4 different times raised over $500 million in less than 2 weeks, and that was whether it was going up or down. And so since we just went down 40% in 2 days, like, there are buyers that were waiting for this, and you don't need to worry about it. Like, if you can't afford no more, don't worry, we got this. Like, liftoff is here. And so I'm suggesting, here is what I'm suggesting. I'm gonna close the video with this, and I hope you pray about it. Ask for if it's right or if it's wrong. And if it feels right, then consider selling less when you can or holding longer. So for example, if it goes up to $10 and you sell 20% of your account, like, you just destroyed your account in a major way. And when you calculate what you've just done to yourself, if you would have just held for the first sell at $100 for 20%, like, and not being at, like, because by the time it runs to 100, you're going to take another 30%. Now you've lost half your account at $100 a share. But if you would have waited to $100 a share to take your first 20%, you would have already made more money than you probably thought you were ever going to make. And now you can hold 80%. And I'm not saying you should hold 80%, but I'm saying you should pray and ask yourself, is a MOASS moral? Is the government so corrupt and the market makers so corrupt that if we don't do this, we may never get another opportunity? And if we do this and it's just a squeeze and they're able to sweep us under the rug like they did with GameStop and AMC and all the other squeezes, then what would you like if they do that? You really don't think with the trajectory we're going that things get worse and the market makers get smarter and stronger and more powerful? Like, we backed them into a corner. They cheated to beat us in July 2022 by voting themselves more dilution in David's name while knowing 49% of people didn't want it. 49% of shareholders did not want it. And it was retail shareholders, and these people in colleges are taught to do what retail asks you, even if you think it's hurting your company. You work for retail. That is what they were taught, but they don't live to it. And it's because they get these bad. So David got in a bad debt deal, and they just abused his name and made everyone think he was the worst guy. But really, he's the only guy man enough to take such great work and patience that he's been building for 12 years for this EV company and bring it to the public, knowing that his vision will come true because he put everything he had into it. And so, again, let me get back to it. Here's what I want you to pray about. Is it moral to do a MOASS? And the definition of a MOASS is everyone buys, we start squeezing, nobody sells until we see the S&P 500 at $0.00. I want to hear your thoughts.